Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Moyo, and today I'll be showing you how I made this dress. It's a cowl dress. This is what the back looks like. So please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in my next one. Bye guys.
Let me give you a quick overview. We're cutting one paper, but this will serve for both the front and the back, more like we're folding into 4. Before I start, I'm going to take some inches off for my zip allowance. Here I have 1.75. Then I'll fold it in. I'll come over to the top of my paper and take my chest line, which is my back allowance, 7.5 plus 1 inch, 8.5. I will also take my shoulder to waistline, which is 16 inches, and I will take my shoulder to hip line, which is 25.5 inches. I'll also take my hemline, the length of my gown, to be 45 inches. Then I will go ahead and draw straight lines on the points that I've just made. I'm also going to label my chest, my waist, my hips, and my shoulder line. Now I'm going to take my back measurement and divide it by 2. That's 7.5. So I'm going to take this on my shoulder line and I'm going to take this on my chest line. Then I will draw a straight line. Then I'm going to come over to the top of this line and I'll come down by 1 inch. Then I'm also going to go to the fold of my paper and I will mark 3 inches like you guys can see. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to use my ruler to connect the 2 points. I'll come to the chest line and take my bust measurement, which is 35 divided by 4. Mine is 8.75, so I'm going to mark that. Then I'll go to my waist. My waist divided by 4 is 6.75. I'll mark that. And my hips divided by 4 is 10. I'll mark that as well. Once I'm done with this, I'll connect all the points that we just made using my ruler. Then on my hemline, I took the same measurements that I have on my hips. But when you're doing yours, just subtract it by 1. So if your hips is 10, use 9 on your hemline. Next, I'm just going to go round and I'm going to add 1.5 inch for my seam allowance. So I'm going to add this on my chest, on my waist, on my hip, and on my hemline. And I'm also going to connect these points. I'll come over to my armhole and I'll take the measurement that I have there. I have 7.5, so I'm going to divide this by 2, like you can see. Then whatever I get, I'm going to get 3.75. I'm going to mark this on my paper like so, and then I'm going to come in by 0.75 on the armhole line. I'm just going to mark it there. Then I'm going to grab my French cuff and I'm going to connect the points. I'm also going to come back to the waistline and I'm going to mark 1 inch. You're going to see what we're doing with this 1 inch later on. And I'm going to use my ruler to connect this to any comfortable point on my lines that I already made. Just follow these steps like you can see. Now we are done. You want to just go ahead and cut it out. Just cut out all the lines that we already made. Next, I'm going to go ahead and open up the paper like you can see, and I'm going to come over to the waistline and extend the line that we already have on the waistline. I'm going to come over to the waistline and I'm going to mark 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to go to the hip and mark 1.5. Then also on the chest line, I'm going to mark 1.5. This is my sewing allowance. I'm going to mark this on the hemline as well because I want the waist to have that shape of my back, because our back is not straight. And I'm going to use this ruler to connect the points. From my chest line, I'll come up by 1/2 of my armhole, which is 3.75 that we marked earlier. So I'm going to mark this on both sides of my chest line like you can see. Then I'm going to use my ruler to connect these 2 points that we just made, and then we're going to cut this off. I'm also going to come over to the new marking that we just made and I'm going to cut it off as well. So on this paper we have both our front and our back patterns. Before we go into cutting on our fabric, I'm going to come over to the chest line and I'm going to just fold like you can see on my chest line Once we are done with this, it's time to grab our fabric and cut the back of our dress. So I'm going to start by folding enough material for only my back pattern. So when you are doing this, just try to manage your material, okay? Don't waste it. Then I'm going to place this paper on the material. Like you can see, remember that my material is on fold, and I am just going to arrange it properly, and I'm going to place this ruler on the paper so that it holds it, because I don't want this thing, I don't want it moving. Then I'm going to just cut it out. I'm done cutting, and this is what I have. So I'm just going to go ahead and transfer that folded area to my material, the 1.5 for the zipper allowance, and I'm just going to notch. Once I'm done with this, the next thing to do is to cut a facing for the back, because I'm not going to be lining this and I want the back to come out as neat as possible. I'm going to grab another material and I'm just going to be cutting a facing. Mind you, you can use anything you like for the length of your facing. That is all for the back of our dress. So I'm just going to fold this together and I'm going to set this apart. So now I'm going to go over to my pattern again. Then I'm going to fold this allowance that we had earlier. Next, I'm going to go over to the waist and I'm going to take that extra 1 inch that we added. I'm going to take it out. Then we're going to go to the chest area and we're going to slash that open. Please guys, when you're slashing, don't slash completely, just slash a little bit. Then we're going to grab a fresh paper, just a small paper, right? And we're going to place it underneath the chest area. I went ahead to align the center part of the old paper with the new paper, and I'm going to come over here and stabilize my paper using this ruler, and I will use my masking tape to hold my papers together. Then I'm going to open it up. Now when I'm opening it up, I'm going to extend this cut by 5 inches. 5 inches is enough, guys. Once I'm done with this, I'm still going to hold it down with my masking tape because I don't want anything to shift at all. Now it's time to cut out, so you guys just follow me as I cut. For my front, I folded my fabric into 2 and I placed my paper on it like you guys can see. Now I'm going to just trace out the front pattern that we already have. Also guys, I came over here to give my front part a curved shape because I don't want it to be that sharp, and we are done cutting. The next thing we are going to do is to cut a facing for our front. I'm just going to fold this material into 2 like you guys can see, and I'll place the front of our dress on it again. But when you are cutting, please ensure that the facing is longer than the armhole, because you want the facing to kind of cover the armhole, and we're just going to trace it out. Then after the armhole, the length of your facing is totally dependent on you. Next, we're cutting the straps of our dress, and for this, the width of my strap is 1.25, and for the length, I actually cut it longer than what I need. When I'm sewing, I can adjust it to cut way longer. So I went ahead to fold my straps into 2 and I sew it on the sewing machine. Now it's time to turn it. Now look at how I'm turning. I'm going to first sew on this end, and I'm going to pass in the end of my needle, not the sharp part, the blunt part. I'm going to pass it in like that, and I'm going to take it out through the other side. When I am done with this, I'm then going to pull it out. So it's just like you're turning your straps. You want your straps to look neat. I'm done with my 2 straps and this is what they look like. Don't forget to give it a good press. Next, I'm going to grab my front part that we already cut, and I'm going to place my 2 straps. This part that you can see, just place your straps there, but when you're placing, place it like ½ inch from the end of the material, because we're still going to turn that part in. We're going to grab our facing and we're going to place our facing on top of this. Okay guys, I'm also going to pin the facing to the actual fabric. Then we'll go over to the sewing machine and sew around. Once you are done sewing, I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to give it a good press. You guys, ironing is key. Don't forget to iron. Once you're done with this, I'm also going to fold in the armhole area. We're just going to turn the facing to the other side of the material, like you can see. Then we're going to go over to the sewing machine. So don't forget to notch and then iron when you're done. It's time to sew the back. I just aligned the facing for the back together, and I'm going to go ahead and turn round the facing, and when I'm done, I'm going to turn it over and give it a good press. I'm going to mark the allowance for my zipper on the center back. I'm going to do this for the entire length of my dress. Once I'm done, I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and I'm going to insert an invisible zipper. So a quick tip, when you're inserting your zipper, please make sure to iron an interfacing in the zipper area, because this is silk, so it's difficult to sew sometimes. So it's difficult to sew your invisible zipper. That's why you see a little bit of this bulge. So I'm going to correct it. But yes, when you're doing yours, don't forget. Next, I'm going to place my front on the table like this, and I'm going to pull my back on it again. So the back is basically on the armhole area, like you guys can see. I'm just going to go ahead and pin the back to the front. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to draw my allowance, my side seam allowance, and I'm going to make this mark like you guys can see. Once I'm done, I'll go ahead to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew both sides. So I'm done sewing both sides, and this is our result. Very beautiful. The next thing to do is to insert our rope inside the back. So if you want to do this, you are first of all going to come to the zipper area, and I measured 3.5 from the center of my zip. Then I made that mark. Then I also ripped the seam open and I inserted my rope into that. So just measure your ropes to know the actual length that you're meant to use, and that is it, guys. Very easy to do. So guys, this is my result. I also went ahead to fold in the hemline of my dress so that it can be neat and smooth. This is the finished look. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe to my channel for more sewing videos. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in my next one. Don't forget to tag me on Instagram to see your creations. Bye guys.